People of the internet, it seems Brendan Schaub has gotten himself into some trouble that scorpion venom just cannot fix. So today we're watching Podcast Cringe video. Brendan Schaub sued for fraud and $1 million lawsuit by Podcast Cringe to see what exactly is going on and how bad is it. And I think it's going to be bad. I think it's going to be real bad. I think this might be some of the worst trouble Brendan Schaub has ever gotten himself into. And guess what? We're goddamn excited to watch it. So let's go.
So walk me through this idea again.
Oh, dude, you're going to love this. So you know how the CBD industry is like the Wild West? You never know what you're going to get.
Right.
I represent Pure Spectrum. You know exactly what you're going to get. So I ride into this lawless, like old country town, right? I'm representing Pure Spectrum. I'm the sheriff. I'm on one of them big burly horses, right? Like a brown horse. And and then all the townsmen, they circle around me. They just all gather
Why
around
do they
me.
circle around you?
Did Pure Spectrum not realize how bad of a choice they made just right here? Why would you make this guy promote your product? This is wild. This is
Because they represent the other CBD oil companies. They don't want me in there.
Okay, they're
'Cause
bad
I'm
guys.
real. They're bad guys. I'm good guy.
And they have guns?
I'm good guy. They have guns. And they take them out. And I hear one go, "Hey, sick cowboy, we don't want your kind around here." And I say, "Is that a matter of fact now?" And he goes, "Get on out of here." And I go,
Because they don't want Pure Spectrum in the market.
"Why would they? Why would they?"
All right, guys, before we get into today's serving of lolsuit lasagna, I've got to remind you, everything I'm about to talk about comes directly from the plaintiff's legal filings in this civil case. These are just allegations. None of this has been tested or proven in court yet, and Brendan Schaub is still fully entitled to defend himself. In fact, according to the latest court records, Brendan hasn't even been officially served with the lawsuit. So technically speaking, he hasn't had his chance to respond, deny the claims, or put forward his side of the story. There's a very real possibility Brendan's sitting in his storage unit studio right now, watching this video, finding out about these allegations for the very first time. So, let's be crystal clear. As of today, these are just claims made by the plaintiff. They still need to be tested in court, and Brendan Schaub has not been charged with any crimes in relation to this civil complaint. This is a
Well, there's a disclaimer on this video. So this must be serious. Did Brendan finally just you just don't know. You just don't know with Brendan Schaub. I try to give this guy credit that someday he'll turn around. I hoped and believed. And every time he does something even more stupid than the previous time. And people said that's what he does. And I didn't believe him months ago. They said that. I still believed maybe one day Brendan will turn it around. But I have a feeling that what I'm about to watch is going to just make me have less faith in humanity. And then all those people that told me some time ago were right all along. And some people are just gone. And that's okay. That's their own life. Who knows what's right or wrong. But sometimes everybody agrees that some guy is real fucking crazy. And I guess that's Brendan Schaub.
The civil business dispute, not a criminal prosecution. We're just unpacking what's in the public court documents. The legal system will handle the rest. Also, I will alternate between the words lawsuit and lolsuit, Texas and Texas throughout this video. No, it's not intentional. It's just the price you pay for watching hours and hours of Brendan Schaub content.
And then they're all around me, and they're like, "Make your move, boy." And then I see one girl come out of the bar. She's like, "Don't hurt him!" And she runs, "Don't hurt him!" And I'm like, "Thanks, sweetie, but I'll take it from here." And they draw their guns. And I'm like, "Oh, we doing this? Not up in here, y'all." And then I go, "Get you, geez, da 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 da." And then they're just all laid out. And then they're like, dang, that was sick, man.
All right, guys, buckle in because what I'm about to tell you is so peak Brendan Schaub, so classically bupper, that even Gringo Puppy is looking like the least embarrassing thing he's ever done. See, while most comedians move to Austin to chase stage time, network within Rogan's inner circle, or just sit in traffic near a Buc-ee's for 6 hours, your boy Brendan's been busy racking up lol suits like he racks up missed punchlines. And
I just have a theory for you. When you look at when you look at this fraud lawsuit, do you think he's kind of scamming on that scorpion venom stuff too, like the same way? Because some of these guys, once they have success at a fraud, right, they'll try and replicate it. So do you think at some point we might be hearing the same thing about the scorpion venom? Because he was trying to hustle that a couple months ago, right? And it looks like this will be a lawsuit, probably him not holding his obligations to Pure Spectrum, but is like the founder coming against? I don't know. Or is Pure Spectrum like a bogus thing, you know? Because Rogan has a lawsuit right now, or I don't know if it's over, but you know, for some shady things, allegedly, folks. Anyways, this is quite interesting, because I think Brendan might have really gotten full retard this time.
this latest one isn't about the so-called Reddit trolls. It's not about podcast bots. It's not even about his failing podcasting empire. This time, Brendan Schaub is knee-deep in a civil lawsuit out of Palm Beach County, Florida, with allegations so ridiculous, so on brand, that even the Fighter and the Kids subreddit couldn't have dreamed this one up. We're talking tax fraud, wire fraud, civil theft, conspiracy, and brace yourself, you guys are going to fucking love this one. Allegedly using a CBD company's private customer database to spam strangers with promos for his failing comedy special at the time. That's right, you buy CBD oil to help your anxiety, and next thing you know, Brendan Schaub's in your inbox begging you to watch Gringo Puppy. That's not just poor marketing, that's psychological war.
So, is Mr. Brady, that's the guy bringing the lawsuit against, it says against Pure Spectrum LLC itself, and like 4 other guys. So I'm assuming, is he the founder? Right? That's what he said. I mean, let's look. This is it feels like some of those things like wire fraud. It seems like some of this stuff, though it's a civil complaint, it seems like these things could be like criminal charges too. Tax fraud.
Warfare. But let me back it up for those of you new to this Bupper saga, because to really appreciate how epically Brendan fumbled this one, we got to start from the beginning. Before the lawsuits, before the storage unit studio, and before the Botox.
The chain smells like Brendan. Smell it.
Yeah.
It smells like your cologne, dude.
Yeah, I wear that every day, and I go to bed in that.
How does
do?
gold hold
I got
smells?
that for when that thing's kind of a good luck charm.
What
When my
the
son
fuck
had
is
his
this?
seizures, I got that like the day when we figured out CBD oil gets rid of them. So I haven't
He has
taken off since.
seizures?
He was not anymore thanks to CBD oil.
What's
Really?
wrong? What was wrong with
Real
him?
story.
What was causing it?
They don't know. It's epileptic seizures, but benign though. And then there's like all like doctors like, oh, let's put him on this medication. Let's do this. Let's do this. And then I went to these forums, and the mom's like, do not give him medication. It f***ed up everything you're doing. Try CBD oil. And I have some friends who know some people in CBD.
Okay. This is I'm hoping. I don't know about the issues with the son. I don't know if it's true. I'm hearing about this for the first time. I don't know the Brendan Schaub, history way, I don't know everything. But please, for the love of God, tell me he did not make up that story about his son. Please. I do not want to deal with that shitty of a person today. That'll destroy the little faith with all the stuff going on in the world, and it just seems like it's crazy. We do not need that story to be made up. I mean, the CBD healing, who knows? But just the fact, if he made up a story about his kid being sick and he's not sick, and CBD healed him, that's
CBD oil business. So I'm like, I'm going to try that before I try anything else. Tried it. Hasn't had one since.
Great.
Dude.
And I got that chain when we figured out that the CBD oil fixed it.
Wonderful.
So
This story starts with Brendan's newfound love of CBD oil around 6 years ago. He starts asking around, and eventually Pure Spectrum CBD, a company founded by a guy named Brady Bell, enters the picture. Brady's your typical entrepreneur trying to build a legit CBD brand. He's making moves, sponsoring athletes, trying to get into the wellness space, and for some reason, someone possibly under the influence of one too many on-it supplements suggests Brendan Schaub as a brand ambassador. Now, most rational people would look at Bupper's track record, fumbled an MMA career, fumbled stand-up comedy, fumbled podcast after podcast, fumbled basic geography by moving his business to a storage unit in Texas, and think maybe he's not the ideal choice. But they roll the dice anyway, and in late 2018, Brady Bell brings Brendan Schaub into Pure Spectrum as a partner, giving him 10% ownership of the company straight out of his own personal stake.
First off, don't ever give some rando part of your company. And if you're going to give any part of your company, that better be like, there better be goddamn good reason for that. Just don't give that stuff away. There are people that take it from you. They'll screw you. You know, if you're the man with the vision, you don't want to be given the opportunity for people to mess with that vision. If it's your company and you started it, you know, that's just crazy. And I'm starting to think, right, like I said, people said, you know, and I hope, but could we allegedly maybe think that Brendan Schaub is just a con man? It just seems, and I know the internet could say things, but like legit, is this a guy that just runs scams on people? I mean, he gets himself into all these situations, and then this is what happens. It falls apart. There's money missing. Things bad. Is Brendan Schaub just a guy running scams? Is that who he's been this whole time? You know, Podcast Grin said, fumbled comedy career, fumbled MMA, you know, fumbled podcast career. Is he just a man that keeps it going for as long as he can to make that money?
Bubba has to do is promote the brand, make a few social media posts, show up to an event or two, mention it on his podcasts, you know, the bare minimum for someone constantly bragging about being a business shark. But Brendan didn't just fumble the bag, he lit it on fire, shoved it in a Texas storage locker, and called it content.
I have some stuff going on. I have some joint issues and some other stuff.
CBD will help with that.
She told me, she told
I got you.
You brought it? Charlotte's Web?
It's Pure Spectrum. It's the best CBD on the planet.
Is that what's the brand?
Pure Spectrum.
Pure Spectrum is the name of the
CBD.
brand?
Yeah.
And she told me to ask you for that.
Yeah. Let me talk to one of the owners.
Did you just talk to them?
I'm one of the owners.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, does that give you confidence? I mean, you know, with a person like that, right, with like Brendan Schaub, people had to have caught on pretty quick, right? Pretty quick. I just imagine. I just imagine it's just not like you hang out with that dude for too long and you go, "Ooh, there might not be something right about this guy." And so, is he having a revelation that? Because here's what I assume. So far, and I'm just making assumptions, right? That if you get Brendan Schaub to promote your product, then you give him 10% of your company like that. out of your own shares, how legit, this is what I'm asking. How legit is that CBD oil you're making? Because it seems like you don't make a lot of decisions. And when it comes to product quality, you know, stuff that works, delivers, I'm already feeling kind of shady about your product. Is it just me? You hired Brandon Schaub, then gave him 10% of your company. I'm feeling that your product might be a little dicey, right?
Oh, you started your own brand. Did you buy into it, or did you form this company with them?
They formed it, and then I came in as a fourth partner.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
So you brought it?
Huh?
You brought it, I'm going to try it out?
I'm going to bring it. I forgot it. But I got the best for you. I got the best for you.
Okay.
We don't live far from each other. I can go get it and come back.
Okay. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, no problem, man. It's the least I can do.
So here's where it all starts to unravel, and honestly, it wouldn't be a true Brendan Schaub story without some world-class self-sabotage. After getting his 10% stake in Pure Spectrum, Brendan allegedly does what Brendan does best. Absolutely fuck all. The lawsuit spells it out clear as day. Brendan missed every single required social media post. For those keeping score at home, that's 88 out of 88 missed posts. He skipped promotional events.
I don't know if he's going to talk about it in the future, but the most important thing in this whole lawsuit is stated in line 17. Line 17. I don't know if he missed it. It all makes sense now. It all makes sense why it crumbled. It all makes sense why it was so terrible. It all makes sense. If you would have known who this guy is and he introduced you to Brendan Schaub, you should have never trusted it. Because this man ran the same, allegedly, scam that Brendan Schaub is running. And that man, right, Aubrey Marcus, do you see that right there, line 17? In late 2018, plaintiff was introduced to Mr. Schaub by Aubrey Marcus, founder of On It Nutrition. Now we know that On It, that whole thing, there's a whole lawsuit. And Joe Rogan, that's Joe Rogan's partner, Aubrey Marcus. And if you know about Aubrey Marcus, allegedly, you could say he's a con man. Just allegedly, though. Since we got disclaimers and all. You know, allegedly. It all makes sense now. I really don't need to. I already see where this is going. Not the specifics, but that's all I needed to know. Man, so Joe Rogan introduced probably Mr. Schaub to Aubrey. Aubrey introduced Mr. Schaub to Mr. Bell, and Mr. Bell got hosed. Yikes. You know, all goes back to Joe Rogan, right? So who's the real con man here? Allegedly.
He failed to honor his contractual obligations. Meanwhile, get this, he still managed to collect over $370,000 in commissions from Pure Spectrum. That's right, Brendan allegedly pocketed hundreds of thousands of dollars while doing less promo than Chin does research for The Fighter and the Kid. And honestly, that's impressive in its own way. But like every good bupper scandal, things get dumber. Because as Gringo Puppy started tanking harder than his Spotify download numbers, Brendan allegedly decided to get creative. And by creative, I mean desperate. This lawsuit contains possibly the funniest sentence I've ever read in a legal filing. On multiple occasions in 2019 and 2020, Mr. Schaub solicited plaintiff to send mass emails using Pure Spectrum's customer database to promote defendants' unrelated comedy specials to help boost poor ratings on Showtime and IMDb.
Yo. That's pretty terrible. You know, like email lists are valuable, right? And email marketing is really, really good. One of the best with a high conversion rate, especially with a trusted customer base that's bought your product, buys into its message, likes it, blah, blah. Email database are valuable. And then, it's the same thing. You could recommend things or recommend, a comedy special, and your customer base might go watch it based on their relationship with you. So this is very damaging, right? You've lost the trust now. The Pure Spectrum has lost the trust of their customer base because they were promoted a bad product, obviously Gringo Poppy. And so, yep, you're going to seek damages for that too. I mean, you don't understand like what a good email customer base, a good email marketing campaign, like you can raise percentages of revenue, of profit. Like it's massive. It converts way better than like ads and stuff. It's you're sending a message to someone's personal, like right now, like legit mailbox. They read their email more than they probably their regular mail. Seek damages.
Let that sink in for a second. People are signing up to Pure Spectrum's mailing list because they want CBD products. They're dealing with anxiety, pain, sleeplessness, and Brendan allegedly tries to hijack the database to spam them with ads for Gringo Puppy. Imagine buying CBD to help your anxiety, and next thing you know, Brendan's in your inbox saying, "What else you got, Chin?" while begging you to rate his comedy special higher than a Rotten Tomatoes disaster movie. But wait, it gets so much better because apparently even Showtime and IMDb were so pissed off by Bupper's guerrilla marketing tactics that they allegedly threatened legal action. This is directly from the lawsuit. Defendants' misuse of company assets for personal gain resulted in negative consequences, including threats from Showtime and IMDb for improper promotional activities. After receiving threats from Showtime, Mr. Schaub acted like he didn't know about the promotional campaign, leaving plaintiff with Brendan's dirt on his hands.
If you look real hard at the allegations, and if these prove to be true, this is all the signs of a con man. Which raises more allegations about Mr. Rogan's character. The other people in the Rogansphere is what they're selling, because you are who you hang around, right? It's an old saying, but like it's true. So this could be, the start of a real bad look for the Rogansphere. And I'm sure Joe's doing cleanup where he can. A person with that kind of money, they do their cleanup for sure.
That is peak Brendan Schaub. Initiate the scam, fumble the execution, blame everyone else, retreat to Joe Rogan's bunker. Honestly, imagine being so bad at comedy that even your own promo strategy backfires and the platforms you're desperately trying to impress threaten legal action just to get you to stop. It's almost poetic if poetry had CTE and a Thick Boy logo slapped on it. But we're just getting started. This was only the beginning of Brendan's downfall with Pure Spectrum. The next chapter, the non-compete violation, the $100,000 payoff, and what might be the sloppiest business move since he tried to trademark Tiger Thick whiskey.
With my CBD company, they were doing this marketing. I said, hey, my friends are the funniest comedians in the world. Give me whatever marketing budget you have for the next 2 months. Let me do my thing with my guys. They go, okay. So I hired Chris D'Elia, Andrew Santino, Fahim, Derek Poston.
I love Derek.
Yep. Asana Ahmad and Brian Callen.
Great.
And I had them come in. I gave them an outline. Oh, and Michael Rappaport. And I gave them an outline of what I wanted to do and go, we're just going to freestyle this. You can get paid. And we're just going to do this. And we did 3 commercials.
So after Brendan's failed attempts to boost his comedy career by misusing a CBD company's customer list like his own personal email chain, things finally came to a head. By late 2020, even Brendan, the undisputed king of denial, couldn't ignore the writing on the wall. The lawsuit claims that after months of skip promos, failed appearances, and illegal marketing tactics, Brendan finally agrees to part ways with Pure Spectrum, but not before allegedly pocketing nearly $400,000 for doing, quite literally, less than nothing. The terms of the deal were pretty straightforward. Brandon signs a dissolution agreement giving up his entire 10% stake in Pure Spectrum. He agrees to a 12-month non-compete, meaning he can't promote or partner with any rival CBD company during that time. Everyone walks away with less brain cells than when they started. Simple, right? But this is Bupper we're talking about. If there's one thing Brendan loves more than abusing PEDs, it's violating contracts he never fully understood in the first place. Because not even 2 months after signing the non-compete, Brendan allegedly turns around and starts publicly promoting Direct Hemp, a competitor of Pure Spectrum, founded by co-defendant Daniel Herder, one of the masterminds behind what allegedly happens next. Brady Bell, the founder who originally...
Whoa, do you see that? So, Brendan Schaub's associating with this Daniel Blake Herder, who says is a co-conspirator in 2 active federal cases. Like, this is, like, I get we all want to, like, laugh at Brendan Schaub, like a lot of people do. But, like, this, and Joe Rogan's in a lawsuit for this stuff with that Aubrey Marcus, who is shady as shade can be, allegedly. And, like, there might be something real big here. They're all of these guys are all kind of got their fingers, and you're hanging out with a guy with 2 active federal cases, which if it's a federal case, like, Lord.
He brought Brendan into Pure Spectrum, wasn't having it. He sent cease and desist letters, or as Brendan calls them, cease and desist letters, reminding Brendan of the non-compete he literally just signed, and he probably even tried to speak slowly so Brendan could keep up, you know. But true to form, Bupper allegedly ignores everything, keeps promoting Direct Hemp, and focuses on the only thing he's consistent with, doubling down on the dumbest possible move. It doesn't stop there though, because behind the scenes, things are about to get a lot darker.
And then I get on my horse. And I'm thinking slow motion. As I'm on the horse, right? Like I'm going, and there's like smoke, and the town's blowing up behind me like this. And then my horse
is the town blowing up, though? Aren't the innocent people there?
No, they ran during the shootout. Because I heard one girl in the saloon go, "Oh, that's a thick-ass cowboy." And I went, "You right, sweetie."
I know, but the town's...
The town, and then in slow motion, it's like, and then... And I'm looking like super smoky. And then even my horse in slow motion goes...
August 20.
Like I said before, I just don't understand how Mr. Bell or Brady Bell or whatever his name is. Well, I guess this didn't really take too long though. But I just you should have known what you're getting when you were recommended by Aubrey Marcus. Sometime, but then again, I think Aubrey's always kind of been shady, allegedly. But who knows?
2021. According to the lawsuit, Pure Spectrum insiders and investors are plotting a hostile takeover of the company. The plan: push Brady Bell out of his business, take control, and in classic podcast industry fashion, glaze over the details later. But they have one problem. They need Brendan's help to pull it off.
Okay. Russian investors. This does... Okay. Why would you want to get in bed with Russian investors? Not saying Russia's bad, but like this is okay. Not gonna say anymore.
Even though he signed away his ownership, they allegedly approached Bupper with a deal. "Hey, Brendan, We know you technically gave up your stake, but how about you lie on some documents, pretend you still own 9.3% of Pure Spectrum, and help us vote Brady out? We'll throw in $100,000 for your trouble. Now, if there's one thing Brendan loves more than scorpion milk, it's easy money with zero accountability. The lawsuit claims he took the deal faster than Theo Von distanced himself from the fighter and the kid, signed the false declaration, claimed he still owned part of the company, and helped oust Brady Bell from Pure Spectrum entirely. All for a cool $100K, which in Brandon's world would cover Chin's salary for the next 4 years. But don't worry, the stupidity doesn't end there. You'd think after pocketing a questionable $100,000 for allegedly faking ownership documents, Brendan Schaub would ride off into the sunset, maybe retreat to another failing YouTube channel, or finally invest in a real studio that doesn't double up as a car park. But no, when Bupper fumbles, he fumbles hard. The lawsuit claims that after helping boot Brady Bell from his own company, Brandon kept the scam going with some classic paper trail manipulation. We're talking allegedly filing false tax returns, using a fraudulent Schedule K1 form to pretend he still had partnership income from Pure Spectrum, and participating in what the lawsuit calls a civil conspiracy designed to defraud the IRS and Brady Bell simultaneously. I mean, the man's so addicted to fake numbers, he allegedly tried to bot his own tax filings. And look, this isn't just, oops, I forgot to declare a podcast ad. We're talking potential felony level allegations. Wire fraud, tax fraud, civil theft, fraudulent misrepresentation, conspiracy to commit tax-related crimes. The lawsuit doesn't pull punches. It paints Brandon as a textbook scammer, hiding behind his MMA background, influencer persona, and ever so fragile ego to cover up for his incompetence.
It just makes you wonder if the criminal charges are coming next. It makes you wonder. But man, there's so much I want to say. Like, I think this goes way deeper. I think, wow. I think this could only be the beginning.
The plaintiff's legal team even calls out Brendan's pattern of behavior. Defendant has consistently leveraged his perceived public persona as a former athlete and comedian to mislead business partners, evade contractual obligations, and engage in fraudulent conduct for personal gain. Translation: the thick boy business model isn't built on hard work. It's built on smoke, mirrors, storage units, and allegedly illegal shortcuts. But to truly understand how we got here, let's zoom out for a second.
This is what I gotta say about Joe Rogan. You gotta know something. The guy's one of the most, has some of the most podcast appearances on your show? Like, what's going on? And every time he gets in trouble, he always comes back. It really makes you question Mr. Rogan. Like, what kind of character does he have? And how honest are his businesses?
You know, I'm in the business of likability. So when I go on the road, I think too, for younger comics or people getting into this, you think that the internet, through all the comments or whatever it is real. It's not real, man. I make a business off likability. I don't know, 10 endorsement deals. That's how I pay my bills. I have 10 endorsement deals.
I could tell you something. It's not as real as you think it would be. You'd be surprised. It's just that it feels super real and super important to you because it's coming from the community or a friend or an ex or something personal to you. But if you just turn off the computer, who fucking cares? You know, this stuff, like, that's why Joe Rogan's still successful. Because, like, if you don't know about the comedy gossip community, you'll never see this stuff. You know what I mean? Most people don't see this stuff. So there is some truth in what he's saying. But then when you reach Brendan Schaub status, he's been in so many communities, it just starts to pile on. And it is pretty real for Brendan Schaub. But for most people, it's just kind of like, people hate you online. But really, it's such a fraction of what's online.
And this isn't a flex. It's just showing you that,
Right.
I'm more loved than I am liked. I go to a coffee shop. I was just with my brother. I can't go anywhere without meeting nice people, man, who love what I do. And then also I sell tickets on the road. That's how else I pay my mortgage, So that stuff is real. That's attainable. I see and meet those people. So I think that's what helps me navigate through all the darkness. I'm a shark when it comes to business. They underpaid my man.
This lawsuit isn't happening in a vacuum. It's part of a long, slow-motion train wreck we've all been watching for years. Failed MMA career, blamed it on concussions. Failed comedy career, blamed it on being too big, strong, and good-looking. Botched podcasts, blame it on Brian Callen, Chin, and production staff. Banned from Rogan's mothership, blamed it on protecting comedians from his fists. Now allegedly scamming CBD customers, falsifying tax documents, and panicking when the feds get involved. This lawsuit basically takes all the worst parts of Brendan's public persona, the fragile ego, the self-sabotage, the desperate clinging to relevance, and shows that, allegedly, it wasn't just happening on YouTube. It was happening in boardrooms, tax filings, and corporate documents. And to no one's surprise, it all circles back to that same trademarked bupper energy. Deny, deflect, distract, and somehow still fumble the bag. But if you thought this was just a civil court drama, think again, because the fallout from this lawsuit could make Gringo Papi look like a career highlight. Brendan Schaub, former UFC heavyweight, failed stand-up comedian, storage unit landlord, podcast bot enthusiast, now facing the most on-brand legal meltdown of his career. If even half of these allegations are proven true, we're not just looking at some slap-on-the-wrist YouTube drama. We're talking massive financial penalties, triple damages under Florida's civil theft laws, IRS investigations for filing false tax returns, potential criminal referrals to the Department of Justice, and worst of all, more storage unit podcast episodes while he scrambles to salvage the empire. But let's be honest.
Yep. This is not going to be good. If those things prove to be true, this is not going to be good. And I think here we go. I'm going to say it. What's the first thing this guy's going to do? If it's bigger than him, because all these guys intermingle, they've all been promoting each other's shit for years. Now, Brendan Schaub ain't going to want to pay them fines, do the jail time. Nope. What's the first thing he does? He rats out everybody. So he gets off. Boy, this is going to get interesting.
We all know how this plays out. Brendan's going to hit the fighter and the kids set next week, acting like nothing's happened. He'll glaze Rogan harder than ever, even though Rogan hasn't acknowledged his existence since the move to Austin. He'll blame the haters, aka anyone who's been reading the court filings and knows how to pronounce the word conspiracy. And in true Bupper fashion, he'll probably fuck up the legal defense worse than he fucked up his copyright lawsuit. The one he thought was a defamation lawsuit for 2 years until I called him out on this channel and his lawyers had to scramble to convince the court that he was lying on the podcast to save the case, which he still lost. But let me stop for a second, because even with everything we've seen from Brendan over the years, there's one particular part of this lawsuit that feels almost too dumb to be real. According to the filings, Brendan allegedly sold a 9.3% ownership stake in Pure Spectrum CBD, pocketing $100,000 for it, despite the fact that, and I can't stress this enough, he didn't even legally own the stake at that point. He'd already signed it away months earlier in a dissolution agreement. Now, look, I've covered Bupper long enough to know he's no Terrence Howard. The man once thought Texas was an actual place. He thought Gringo Papi was going to break Netflix. He thought Rogan would actually let him set foot in the mothership green room, but surely even Brendan Schaub isn't dumb enough to sign legal documents selling part of a company he doesn't own. Surely the people around him, and let's remember, Brendan's constantly reminding us how professional his legal team is. Were they just sitting there watching him allegedly sign fake declarations, cash checks for non-existent equity and thinking, yeah, B, this is how Bezos built Amazon? I mean, how do you even end up in that situation? Where were his lawyers, his manager? Was there literally no adult supervision? Chin's back there fumbling focus, Callen's busy planning his escape, and Brendan's out front allegedly committing corporate fraud like it's another poorly planned drug giveaway.
You know, there's lots and lots and lots of videos like the downfall, the rock bottom. But this is going to be a bad one. If this stuff is true, this is going to be so bad. And he's going to rat. I guarantee you, he's going to rat on everybody else.
We've seen Bappa talk about being a business shark. We've seen him glaze himself on his car shows. We've seen him claim he's too strong, big, and good looking to fail, but allegedly selling phantom ownership in a CBD company while already locked in a non-compete. It almost defies belief. Almost. Because when you zoom out and look at the pattern, the comedy career that fell apart, the Texas move that backfired, the numerous scandals, the alleged tax issues, maybe this isn't as surprising as it sounds. Maybe Brendan.
Okay. I tried to give the man benefit of the doubt back. I thought the truck show, I started to have a little hope with the truck show. But everything leads to this man being a con man, allegedly, right? And it makes me question Joe Rogan. It makes me understand a lot of the Rogansphere now. All of these guys have had these guys around, and they all intermingle. And you can see that Joe Rogan has turned into an oligarch. He just casts people out the kingdom whenever there's trouble. I just think beyond Brendan Schaub's demise, I think this thing is a lot bigger. But I also have to say, I tried to give him benefit of doubt. Back to that. I was wrong. Should have listened. This guy, at every opportunity, he tries to do bad things to other people. He tries to scam. He tries to cheat. He does scam. Right? This is his pattern. In more cases than not, this is his pattern. And it's bad. And I should have listened. But I didn't. But listen to me. Listen to me. If this is true and you believe that Brendan Schaub is this bad of a person and a con man, like if this is who he really is, what does that say about the other Rogansphere? And there's a lot of stuff out there to prove that too. Allegedly. Talk about that. There's a lot of shady things. I think this takes down the Rogansphere. I think this is the start. Get ready. I know the videos, the topics have been dry. The gods have answered. And I think it will be overfloweth very soon.
He's been winging it so hard for so long that people around him just stop questioning the dumb moves. Maybe the entire thick boy ecosystem is running on autopilot, fueled by bot views, blind confidence, and questionable paperwork. But let me be clear, this is all just speculation. It's my opinion based on what's in the lawsuit. I believe this case will hinge on whether or not Brendan legally still owned a share in Pure Spectrum CBD. Brendan hasn't filed his defense yet, and maybe when he does, it'll make sense. Maybe there's a rational adult explanation for how he allegedly tried to sell a stake in a company he didn't legally own. Maybe he still owned it and the plaintiff has it all mixed up. I mean, it's entirely possible. But based on history, I wouldn't count on it. This is going to get messy, it's going to be public, and we're all here for it. So if you want to stay up to date on the Bappa downfall, make sure you smash that subscribe button for this channel, then head over to my second channel, Podcast Cringe Bites, and subscribe there so you don't miss out on my uploads throughout the week. Also, don't forget to hit the link in the description for my Patreon, where we go unfiltered, uncensored, and deeper than Brendan ever went into reading his own contracts. Allegedly. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.
Well, this is really the start of something. I think it's the start of something bigger than just Brendan Schaub. I think we're only getting a glance into what the Rogansphere is all about. I don't think this is good. I think Joe Rogan distanced himself for a reason. He probably knew about this stuff, caught wind of it, allegedly. These are just my opinions based on what I'm seeing, okay? Let me know what you think in the comments. Is this really bad? Is this bigger than bad? Or is this the beginning of the downfall of the Rogansphere?
Don't stay.